Cynthia Says is a web-based program that allows individuals to test web pages for accessibility. It's free software that's available online at cynthiasays.com. The site is very simple to use. You simply enter the URL of the page you would like to test. For example, we might want to point our high school students to the Internet Public Library's page designed to help teens with their research and writing projects. But we want to ensure that it's an accessible site. For example, can screen readers recognize the text in these images? Cynthia Says is designed to check the page given its URL. So we'll copy the URL for use on the Cynthia Says website. It can determine whether the page satisfies a number of different web accessibility standards. One set of standards it applies is that given in Section 508 of the Rehabilitation Act. An easy checklist of these standards is provided by WebAIM, or Web Accessibility in Mind. WebAIM is a well-respected and authoritative source for services, software, instructional media, and research located at webaim.org. Section 508 of the Rehabilitation Act specifies the standards for web pages that ensure that individuals with disabilities have equal access to web-based information. For example, appropriate text equivalents or alt tags should be given for non-text elements on a website. Multimedia elements should contain captions, and sufficient contrast should be provided, and color should not be the sole means of conveying information. An equivalent text-only version of the page should be provided if the standards cannot be met. A number of these standards are in place so that web pages can be read in a logical way by a screen reader for the benefit of individuals with vision impairments, for example. Okay, so let's test the resource page for our high school students against the 508 standards. Just enter the URL. We can include a number of optional reports in addition to the basic report, which checks each of the standards against the website. For example, include the alternative text quality report provides information about the quality of the alt tags on the website. Include file source on accessibility failures presents the HTML source code with line numbers to facilitate editing. Just click Test Your Site. The average time for the test is less than 10 seconds. Okay. The results show whether the web page satisfies each of the standards. You can see that this page passes the tests, or they weren't applicable because the features tested did not appear on the page. For example, there weren't multimedia elements on the web page, and there weren't tables, so it didn't check for these items. In addition to this basic report, we also get information about the quality of the alt tags, such as the use of the word image or file extensions in the tag. This page did use an alt tag deemed to be too short at line 32, and thus perhaps not very informative. We can see by looking at the page source that the image tag at line 32 is A+, corresponding to this image, which is actually perfectly descriptive of the image, even though it is short. So this is the basic report that matches Section 508 standards to the Internet Public Library's web page referred to earlier. Cynthia Says is also able to test the page for a different set of standards, the World Wide Web Consortium's Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, or WCAG. These are found on the W3C website, w3.org. The W3C assigns each standard a priority level, and those assigned priority 1 must be satisfied. Standards assigned priority 2 and 3 have a lesser impact on accessibility. The WCAG provides a small set of guidelines, each associated with a number of checkpoints to ensure that the guideline is met. Checkpoints at Priority 1 are indicated in red. A number of these guidelines are consistent with the 508 standards, but others, such as Guideline 4, dealing with language, and Guideline 9, dealing with designing a site so that it's device independent, are unique. Using Cynthia Says, we can test the A+ Research and Writing page against the WCAG. We can evaluate the web page for checkpoints at all levels, or just level 1, or levels 1 and 2. Let's test this page for checkpoints that are at priority level 1. Once again, we get a report that indicates whether each of the standards is met on the page. So you can see that Cynthia Says can be a useful tool to help you determine whether a web page that you want to recommend to your students meets some basic accessibility requirements.